Hey everyone, welcome back to Tice Travel Time. Today I will be discussing what it was like teaching English in Spain. I'll be going over my schedule, the ages I taught, and honestly just what the experience was actually like for me. Obviously, depending on where you're teaching, the ages you're teaching, and your level of expertise, the experience may be a little different. To give you some background, I was an English language teaching assistant in Bilbao, which is in northern Spain in the Basque country. I was teaching ages 2 through 10, and yes, I ended up working with every single age between 2 and 10. I was an English language teaching assistant through the program Meddeas. My main role was to support the main teacher with helping the kids with their English proficiency. Obviously, it would depend on what age range I was teaching. I was with up to 15 students alone, which was only with my 3rd and 4th graders, which was ages 9 and 10. So let's talk about my daily schedule. Pretty much I was all over the place. We did have an English classroom on the top floor of the school, but I only went there with my 3rd and 4th graders when I was alone with the students. And there were other teachers that used that classroom, so it wasn't primarily my classroom. With all of my moving around, I ended up actually laminating my schedule. And it wasn't only me that was moving around. Pretty much the students were always in their primary classroom and all of the teachers hopped around. It was crazy to me. A lot of the teachers would teach the arts and drama, and maybe this was just my specific school, but that was pretty common. Now I'll be diving into what my schedule was like and explain to you exactly how it went down. So obviously I have my schedule right here. And honestly, I'm just going to walk through it a little bit. I was expected to teach 22 hours a week. This would depend on the schedules for the students. They did a lot of field trips or they were away. And oftentimes I would end up always going to recess. And in recess time, I would play with the kids and always speak in English just so that they would get some extra practice. On Mondays, I started first with my 1st graders. Now, with this class, I was really the assistant. There were 2 other main teachers in the classroom, and then we had 2 or 3 other assistants in the classroom generally, whether it was students with special needs that needed assistance or whether it was just a student teacher that was learning how to teach. After my first class in 1st grade, I went to my 5-year-old's classroom. Now, I loved my infantile students. I think that they were really great and I just enjoyed the energy. I enjoyed getting to do more activities and have fun, and this was great. So I ended up teaching those 2 hours in a row, and then I would have a 30-minute recess. During this time, I could kind of break, but generally worked with them and played with them and just kind of had a lot of fun. After recess, I had my 3-year-olds and then my 4-year-olds. So I usually had those classes for an hour. I didn't only plan by myself. I was usually working with another teacher. And so we were working together on building the schedule. I wouldn't say I played a primary role in planning the schedule. I generally would just give ideas for activities and see how that went down. After teaching my 3 and 4-year-olds, I had a long break. We usually had a lunch break from about 1 to 3. Now for me, I actually did not have a class at 3 p.m. So I had an extra long break. And generally for that 3-hour break, I wouldn't exactly know what to do. I kind of felt lost and this break just felt a little too long. I didn't really have my own personal space at the school. So this was kind of a struggle for me, especially when it came to lunchtime and deciding whether or not I should leave or go home. And I lived about 30 minutes away. So this was kind of tough. I ended up really only having one class later in the day, and that was pretty much from 3:50 to 4:45. That was my 2nd grade classroom. This was generally pretty fun, but I would say that it was a little more chaotic. The kids were usually pretty tired, and then we had to get ready to go at the end of class. So I would say that was my least productive class of the day. Now that's a general scope of what my day looked like on Mondays, and most of my other days looked like that. I would generally have 1 or 2 classes in the afternoon. And I would generally have 3 or 4 classes in the mornings and with a long lunch break. This was pretty common. I would teach all the classes. I was mainly teaching infantile the most. I had 4 classes with my 3-year-olds, 4 classes with my 4-year-olds, and 4 classes with my 5-year-olds. So all infantile I saw a lot. I only had 1 official class with my 2-year-olds, but I often would pop in there and just talk to them when they had playtime and help them practice their English just in their day-to-day life. When it came to primary, I taught my 1st graders twice a week, my 2nd graders twice a week, and then with 3rd and 4th grade, they were split into classes. Pretty much from ages 2 to 2nd grade, there were around 35 to 40 students in one class. It was crazy. It was a really big class, and that was a little different. With 3rd and 4th grade, they were split into 2 separate classes with about 30 students in each of those classes. So I would only see one 3rd grade class once a week and then the other 3rd grade class once a week. That was the same setup with my fourth graders, so I honestly didn't get that much time with them. That is the general scope of my schedule. I hope that you understand how it was set up and that maybe helps you if you are trying to decide if you want to be an English language assistant in Spain. Teaching such a wide range of students was both fun and definitely challenging. I would say that the littles had a ton of energy and they were super curious about the English language, and it was really fun working with them. I felt like they could understand what I was saying even when I was speaking fluent English, and that made it really fun. With the older students, it was more so practicing conversations and seeing how well their English proficiency was. With this, I was just trying to get them to talk as much as possible. With my third and fourth graders, I had them alone. So it would be that I maybe say, "You are disrupting the class." And the students would be like, I don't know what disrupting is. And so as a class, we had to decide and navigate what that word meant. And that was really fun. I loved the problem solving aspect of just figuring out what the words meant and being able to communicate with each other, because honestly, my Spanish is not very advanced. So this was definitely really helpful. One of the best things about being an auxiliar or a English teaching assistant is the flexibility. Obviously, there is a lot of flexibility. I had my long lunch breaks on Wednesdays. I ended a little earlier, so I had no afternoon classes on Wednesdays, and that was really nice. That gave me time to go to the doctor's or grocery shopping or anything that I had to do as just a daily task, and that was really enjoyable. I will say that although I was at the school from 9 to 5, 4 days out of 5 days a week, I was still able to have a lot of flexibility, whether I came home for lunch or went out, or even if I just wanted to go for a long walk. If you're considering teaching abroad in Spain, I hope that this video helped you see a little bit as to what a life is like while teaching English in Spain. Obviously, depending on where you're placed and the ages that you're teaching, your schedule will likely be very different, and it may be similar. But I hope that this gave you an idea of what it looks like to be an English language teaching assistant in Spain, and I hope that you found this video helpful. Thank you so much for watching Tice Travel Time, and if you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks again for watching!